Hi, I'm Ramos from Chess Strategy for Business. So our business is set up specifically to work with private business owners to help them achieve three key goals. One is increase their profits. Two, increase the value of their business. And three, work out ways to extract that value and add it to their wealth. So their freedom of choices are significant and come sooner. So in terms of today, what I wanted to do is address this whole issue about business value. How is the business value determined? And give you a little bit of an understanding of the methodology that's involved. Because if you understand the ingredients that go into determining a value, you're able to pull it apart and then start to assess how your business is performing. You know, if that's what I need, that's where my business is, what do I need to do to change to make it into the optimal value of optimal business that will give me the ultimate value? So there are two components to valuing a business in particular. You know, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors and magic and accounting speak and whatever else. But look, at the end of the day, there's a return and there's a risk that drives whether or not you get a high value or whether you get a lower value. And so the return is pretty straightforward. It's about a history of performance. You're looking at results that you've achieved, profit results that you've achieved over a number of years. So we're looking at how can we use the past to project into the future to give us some predictability about what it is that I'm actually buying if I pay you the money. And so understanding what return you've actually been able to accumulate ahead of getting to a sale date is really critical. And I'll deal with that in a moment. The next one is the risk. So the risk is the perception that the buyer has got about whether or not they're going to get that income stream. Whether that predictable income stream from the past is going to project forward into a number that he or she is willing to pay for. And so when we look at those two parameters and we bring it to reality in today's world, if 0 was no risk and 10 was ridiculous risk that, you know, I've got my packet of money and I'm going to go and put it on, you know, the next horse race on any horse, then I would expect a phenomenal amount of return if I actually get that horse across the line. For 0 risk, we turn to the banks. And so what we do is we put our money in the bank. There's 0 risk there. It's even guaranteed by the government. And we would get our modest 2%. The entrepreneur normally says, well, hang on, I want more return. So I'm prepared to take more risk. And so let's say that you go up the level of risk. Let's say for argument's sake, a level 2. A level 2 might be something that gets you a 15% return if you took that level of risk. Well, what would give you that? Let's say a franchise business like McDonald's. So if you bought McDonald's, you might expect to get about a 15% return per annum on the investment pool of cash that you've transferred for that ownership. Now, why is it a 2, but small businesses are 3 and above? Because McDonald's has a system, a process, a way of doing business that enables pimply-faced kids to come in and run that business and run it successfully. And why? Because they're supported by international marketing and sales processes and customer research and market research initiatives and capability, and it all feeds into this model, this machine that just has these kids come in and out and they produce the results. So the risk associated with that business is far, far less than, say, your business. Small business jumps out without a parachute and says, all right, I'm going to set up a business. I'm a mechanic and I'm a really good mechanic. I'm going to set up a business. And the risks associated with that decision are significant if you haven't done marketing, if you haven't done human resource management, if you haven't done financial management, because they're ingredients of what makes a successful business operate. So what happens is that the higher the perceived risk, the higher the return that's going to be expected. Now, what that means in terms of valuation principles is that a 50% return, which is a high return, means that I'm only giving you 2 times the value of that profit. So in other words, in the price, so this is what determines the price, the multiple. So if you've made $100,000, 2 times means I'll pay you $200,000, thank you very much for your business, see you later. Now, if you are able to decrease the risk associated with your business to a level 3, then all of a sudden I'm paying you $300,000. That's a dramatic increase in what you get. So there's compelling rationale here for how do we get that risk down and how do we get that performance up. The performance up, that's subject for another day. The risk down, how we do that is by actually making the business more independent. More independent of who? You. So it's making it independent of the owners. So how we do that is all about how we operate the business. What processes, what systems, what templates, what tools have we got in place so that it's able to operate seamlessly whether you're here or whether you're not. And so that's part of what we work with in terms of helping you optimise the existing business. But really, in terms of getting the value that you really want, also requires a plan of attack, a bigger perspective, bigger strategy. And that means that we've got to start looking at who might buy my business. Do I just put it in the local magazine and, hope that someone, walks past and gets interested in it? The reality is, if you want to optimise the value and the price, you've got to think more strategically about who might be the potential buyer. And there's quite a number of them. There's obviously people out in the marketplace. It could be competitors. It could be bigger organisations that are trying to break into your market. It could be your own team. There might be select people within your organisation that are willing to band their resources together and with a bit of support from you, buy in. It could be your family, that you've got some capable people in your next generations that are willing to come and take over, and that's what you want to leave a legacy of keeping the business going beyond you. And it could be people like private equity, where they come in and they take a proportion and pay you out some of it. They look at usually getting it to a more optimised position than what you've been able to get it, and then everyone sells it and capitalises out of the incremental value. So there's a number of different options, but ultimately it starts with a plan. It starts with some intent to think forward at least 5 years and then work backwards to say, well, what do I need to do today to this business that needs to look like that? Look forward to speaking to you. Thank you very much.